Hi, so I am Brooke Orr, registered dietitian, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit today about intuitive eating. So I cannot believe that it is almost January. That's crazy to me. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I feel like this year has flown by. So with January coming up, as a dietitian, just as a human living on earth, as a woman, as a mother, what comes to mind is New Year's resolutions, and of course, what everybody's always setting a resolution for: weight loss, diet change, all of that stuff. So the survey by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine said that 46% of adults will try to set some type of new plan for the new year revolving around a diet. That's crazy. It's also kind of funny to me because we also know from some data from the NIH that not only do we have 46% of people setting that resolution, at least 46% around diet, we also know that when you look at what people are search history in January, it skyrockets. People start searching diets, weight loss, what do I do? So people are going to the internet for this information, which is why I want to put something out there maybe that helps people find a different way. So some studies show that over 90% of diets fail. A lot of people say 95%, just depends on the study you're seeing. That's a super high number. That would be like if I told you, like I wanted you to try this new pill to help you not get sick, and you still got sick 90% of the time. Like, I want you to take this amount of vitamin C so you won't get sick, and then you still got sick 90% of the time. You'd be like, this doesn't work. And that's kind of like where a lot of us dietitians and a lot of people are with, the thought around dieting is like, it doesn't seem to be working. And it's not that people are failing diets, it's that diets are failing people, like physiologically, psychologically. There are so many things set to kind of help your body maintain homeostasis that it's fighting against you in an uphill battle. So that's an important thing to know. We also know research shows that weight cycling. So a lot of times after we go on a diet, we end up, you hit a plateau, you stop losing weight, and then over time, you gain weight. And so instead of being at a lower weight than you were, you're at a higher weight than you were. This is called weight cycling. Lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. So this cycling is actually really hard on the body and increases risk for the things you're trying to prevent with a diet: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension. What's also interesting is when you diet, you lose muscle mass. Muscle mass is what's going to allow your metabolism to be higher, right? So you lose muscle mass, your metabolism goes down, and when you add weight back, it's typically fat, and it's around the midsection, your abdomen, which is where we don't want our fat to be. So what does that mean? Do we just give up? No, we don't give up. But it means we might need to try a different approach. So enter intuitive eating. A lot of people have heard of it, some people haven't. Some people have a misconception that intuitive eating means you just eat without any boundaries. You just eat whatever you want, right? But with intuitive eating, what we're really looking at is it's a body-focused way of eating. So you're not eating based on diet rules. You're not eating based on external rules, guilt, shame. I can't eat after 7, or I've heard that if I eat this, this will happen. There's nothing like that. So with intuitive eating, your body leads the way. So you're paying attention to physical signs of hunger and fullness, that interceptive awareness. You're trying to start figuring out, when am I hungry? When am I full? How do foods make me feel? So one example, like if you were working with a dietitian who does intuitive eating, they might give you an experiment and say, okay, for breakfast tomorrow, I want you to have a grande vanilla latte. I want you to check in with yourself every 30 to 60 minutes and see how you feel. Do you feel energetic? Do you feel shaky? Do you find that you hit a point where you kind of crash and you don't feel well? Do you feel great? So they're going to ask you to pay attention to how you feel. The next day, you're going to have something like a peanut butter and jelly, good source of carb, protein, healthy fat, and they're going to ask you to do the same thing. And you're going to start to pay attention to how foods make you feel, so you know how you need to fuel yourself to feel your best. So an outcome of this experiment is to reconnect with your body. I mean, if you look at kids, we know, like, most of us are born intrinsically knowing when we're hungry, when we're full. I mean, think about toddlers. You could give them their favorite food, but if they're not hungry, it's usually like, oh, I'm not hungry right now. I'll eat it later. I want to play. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so they're listening to their body. There's not these external rules that have taught them, oh, well, I better eat this because I might not get it again. And so they're listening. So I mentioned interoceptive awareness, and that's just one's ability to perceive things in their body: hunger, thirst, temperature, heart rate. So you interpret these things, and then you know how to meet your needs. So a lot of us have gotten so used to being in overdrive, right? Like, I've got to get my kids here. I need to get this done, this done, this done. And so then all of a sudden you'll be like, I haven't peed in 3 hours. I do actually need to pee. Or I haven't eaten all day. Or I've been sitting here munching on the M&Ms at my desk, but I've never taken a break. I haven't stood up. And so we've started to ignore this interoceptive awareness. We've started to ignore these signals that our body gives us that teach us how to eat or how to treat ourselves. Interoceptive awareness is going to be crucial for self-regulation, emotional awareness, and maintaining body health. And I get it. A lot of people have concerns, I don't want to develop this disease or that disease, so I want to find the right way of eating that's going to keep that from happening. I totally get that fear and that desire. But I'll say, there's a 2021 study that found, they studied intuitive eating and diabetes, and it found that there may be associated with lower chances of type 2 diabetes having inadequate glycemic control by using intuitive eating when they're doing it, quote unquote, the right way, where they've had training, they understand the meaning of it, and they are listening to those body cues. So it can be effective even with things like that. All right, so we know intuitive eating is listening to our body. We know it's about interoceptive awareness. We know it's this thing that replaces diets and it puts us back in tune with our body. We know that dieting doesn't always work, can lead to weight regain, and it's not super helpful for our health. What else do we need to know about intuitive eating? There's 10 principles of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating, let me just go back, was created by Evelyn Tribole and also by Elyse Resch. And those are 2 dietitians who started this. They've done research on it. They are the gurus. They do trainings for professionals. So it's a real legitimate studied way of eating. So they came up with 10 principles. Principle 1, reject diet culture. I'm going to say that again. Reject diet culture. So that means we no longer can't wait for I can find the next diet that's going to help me, fit into this pair of pants, or the next diet that's going to make me feel this way or do that. We're not looking for a diet to tell us how to eat. We're rejecting that mentality, and we're tapping into the fact that our bodies are going to tell us what we need. Which brings us to the second one, honoring our hunger. A lot of us really try to suppress hunger. I mean, I've heard people, I'll chew gum so I'm not hungry. Drink water before your meal so you don't eat as much. There's a lot of these things that try to suppress hunger. And what we learn in intuitive eating is we want to honor hunger. We want to eat when we're hungry. The third principle is also going to be making peace with food. So a lot of us have foods that have control over us. I've had people tell me I can't eat peanut butter, because if I eat peanut butter, I'll eat way too much of it and then I don't feel well. So I just can't keep it in the house. Or I can't have cookies in my house. If I have cookies in my house, I'll eat all of them. And so we have to learn to make peace with food and start to figure out, how do we not let food have control over us, any type of food. So then we have discovering the satisfaction factor. Being satisfied with what we eat is super important, because if we're satisfied, we're less likely to keep going back for more and more when we're not hungry, when we're just looking for that satisfaction from how it tasted, right? So we want to be satisfied with our food. The other thing is, there's a really great study about when you eat and it's a pleasurable meal, you like the taste, you like who you're around, you like all of these different things, you actually can absorb more nutrients. So it is very important that satisfaction is part of your eating plan. So we talked about honoring your hunger, but principle 5 is about feeling your fullness. So a lot of us will eat and then not realize that we're stuffed, right? And so it's learning those subtle cues within our body that tell us that we're getting full so that we can stop before we're overfull. Principle 6, challenging the food police. So what are those rules that you have in your mind that need challenging? Like I said, some people believe they can't eat after 7. Some people can if they're listening to their body because they know that they get reflux because they go to bed at 8:30. That's a legitimate thing that your body tells you. Some people have just always been told if they eat after 7, then it'll turn into fat and they'll gain weight. That would be one of those external food police rules that needs challenging. So principle 7 is coping with your emotions with kindness. So if you feel sad and you eat, that happens sometimes. We all do it. But if every time you feel sad you eat, if that's your only coping skill for sadness, then that's not going to be a healthy way for your body, because food can't actually fix your sadness. It's a temporary Band-Aid. And so learning to deal with emotions with kindness is going to help us learn to use food appropriately. Principle 8 is one of my favorites, and it's respect your body. So we're not all created to be one size. So just like I will never be a 7-foot tall NBA basketball player, someone else might not ever be a size 0 in jeans, right? We're all created differently. We have a different blueprint. So aesthetic and eating for health are two very different things that unfortunately in our culture often get meshed together, right? So respecting our body means that we're not overcritical of it. We're not trying to make it into something that it's not. I'm not trying to constantly make myself 7 feet tall and I'm beating myself up about it and I don't understand why I can't be 7 feet tall, right? We're accepting our genetic blueprint and we're feeding ourselves in a way that keeps us healthy and well. Principle 9 is movement, feel the difference. I love this one. I think, again, we see it in our kids. I mean, my kids always ask, can I go outside? They jump rope. They run around the house and chase the dog. They want to be moving their bodies, not because they need to exercise, not because they're burning calories, but because it feels good. It brings them joy. And so that's what we're looking for. Yes, moving our bodies is good. We don't want to sit down all day. Standing up, walking, getting outside, all of these things are good for us. And so Principle 9, you're really going to go over movement. Principle 11 is the hardest for most people, and I'm actually going to read this straight from the principles from the Intuitive Eating book. So make food choices that honor your well-being, taste buds, and culture while attuning to how your body feels. You don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. You're not going to get a nutrient deficiency from one meal or snack. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. And so one thing I actually read through this is it might be surprising for you to learn that what you eat and how you move your body only accounts for 10% of your health. Progress, not perfection, is what counts, which I love. I think gentle nutrition is hard because we have been taught as a culture, like militant diets, following certain rules are what's going to get us to where we want to go. And gentle nutrition, as far as saying, like, you know what, like I used to love Haagen-Dazs ice cream, but now every time I eat it, I get a stomach ache. It doesn't make me feel well. Okay, so that food doesn't serve you well. It might have once been something that tasted good and felt good, now it doesn't. So what do we switch to? How do we make sure that we're satisfied with our food choices while also honoring the way it makes our body feel so that we can feel our healthiest and feel our strongest and be our most productive? Because we all have something that God has created us to give today. And we want to feel well while we're giving. So that was the fastest overview of intuitive eating ever. My goal is that when people start searching for diets to start in January, maybe they'll come across this and maybe they'll say, there could be a different way. Maybe I should try this. It's not going to be perfect to try on your own. Intuitiveeating.org is the website. They have lots of resources there. They have research listed. They have all kinds of stuff. I definitely suggest going there. There's also a section of podcasts where the authors have been interviewed and talk about intuitive eating and what it is. You can purchase on Amazon or anywhere the 4th edition of the Intuitive Eating book, and there's also a workbook. So I definitely suggest those as resources. The other thing is you don't have to do this alone. Work with a professional. So on the intuitiveeating.org website, there's a section where you can find certified counselors who've gone through the training, they've done one-on-ones with the authors, and they can help you on a journey of intuitive eating. So I hope this was really helpful. I hope it at least is food for thought, and maybe you try a different path.